Smart CEREBRUM Private Limited is a team of academicians and experts who are into education field since decades. We are proud to be associated with more than 1,500 institutions across the country. We are into academic consultation, teacher training, student training, communicative English, Vedic mathematics, subject-specific training, content development, and many more. Smart Learning is a service-oriented social initiative from Smart CEREBRUM Private Limited, wherein subject-specific experts will be conducting online sessions for the student community at large. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for constant updates about upcoming sessions and topics. All the sessions will be related to the syllabus and curriculum. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Jyoti, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Namaste. Welcome back to another interesting session of biology. This session is for grade 9 NCERT, and in this session we'll be dealing with a second chapter named tissues. As usual, before we start the real session of the class or lesson, let us know one important nice quote for the day. And today's quote says that wanting to be someone else is a waste of who you are. I repeat, wanting to be someone else is a waste of who you are. This is nothing but generally, it's a human nature to copy others or wishing to be like someone else, or imitating someone else, or wishing ourselves to be like them. And this will let us be losing our own originality. And losing originality is the least thing that we can expect in our lives. Anybody and everybody, I feel that we should have our own originality, and we should also expect people to accept us for what we are, not for what we copy from others. If you agree with me, let us get into the session of today's. Okay? And as for now, in the previous class, we have learned, in the previous chapter, we've learned about cells, type of cells, cell structure, cell functions, their diagrams, all that we have seen. And in this class, further to that, extended part of cells we will be learning. As a part of type of cells, we have seen that unicellular and multicellular organisms. And unicellular's body is made up of only single cell, as every one of us know. And the complete functions of the organism are carried out by that one single cell. Like be it movement of the body, intake of the food, excretion, gaseous exchange, all these of course happen in unicellular organisms also. And all these are carried out by single cell. What about multicellular organisms? Or all the functions what are carrying in our body are being done by the same type of cells? There are separate kind of cells which will carry out. Like take examples of muscle cells. Muscle cells like in the body, muscle cells which help for in the contraction and relaxation. Contraction and relaxation of the muscles help in the movement there in the body. Like multicellular organisms, we can take up our own body as an example. Muscle cells are there for movement. Nerves cells are there for carrying or transporting the messages. And of course, blood cells are there, which will be transporting oxygen. Varieties of cells, many cells, not varieties of cells, many cells, which will have the same structure, similar structure, and perform the same function, will be grouped together. They're all put together. Say for example, grade 9 children we say. All grade 9 characteristics of a child with age, similar mental ability, all that we take up into consideration and put them into grade 9. And other children with the different ages are put them into some other classes having the same kind of characteristics. Now cells which will look similar and perform the similar function are grouped together, are brought together to be called as tissues. To be called as tissues. Now we can understand that we are going to learn in this chapter about tissues. We have learned about cells in detail in the previous chapter. The extended part of cells is tissue. Now what is tissue? Tissue, how do we define tissue? Tissues are the group of cells. They are the group of cells. You can say they are the cluster of cells which having the similar function and perform the specific function. Similar structure performing specific function. Understand? So they are called as tissues. In detail, we will be learning in this session about what are tissues, what are their types, what are their functions, location, everything. Okay, let me share my PPT, then we look into it. Is my screen visible?
Ma'am, not yet, ma'am.
Give me 1 second.
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Okay. As I told you, this is for grade 9 biology and the lesson name is tissues, and this is your first part of the lesson. What are we going to learn in this chapter is about the definition and type of tissues. The definition, what is meant by tissue and what are the types of tissues we will be learning. Point number 2 that we are going to discuss is about the plant tissues. Type of tissues are plant and animal tissues, under which plant tissue and its type we will be learning. Thirdly, we'll be concentrating on the location and functions of different types of plant tissues. Structure, the location, functions of plant tissues we will be dealing with. Next, we'll also learn about few types of animal tissues and their structure function as well. And in the yes, these many are the objectives that we are going to learn from this lesson. Now, how is the body of an organism is made? How are the cells organized? How is the body organized with the different types of cell, tissues and organ? You see, firstly, if Dr. Alka, if I write on the board, is it visible? Dr. Alka?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible but smaller.
Small, okay, not an issue. So you can see at the base, what is the basic unit? It is cell as we have learned. And after the cell, the next extended part, many cells are grouped together. As I told you, it's a tissue. And many tissues are put together to form an organ. This is how body of an organism is made. Multicellular organisms especially. This is again of the same kind. See, cells which are put together to form a tissue, and tissues of the same specific function are put together called an organ. Organs, many are there. Kidney is an organ, liver is an organ, heart is an organ, many internal organs are there. And they are all made with the tissues, and tissues are made with the cells. And different types of organs are helping to form an organ system. We have many organ systems working in our body. Nervous system, isn't it? With the brain it is formed. And circulatory system, the main organ is heart there. Many circular and respiratory system, the lungs are the main part there. Like that, many organ systems are working in the body. And all these, we should know what is the basic structure and how it is developed as an organism. Next, the different types of organ systems are brought together to make an organism's body. Body is made with all these inside, part by part. Okay. And next, we will be learning about tissues. Before that, as we know, tissues are the group of cells with similar structure and specific functions. Do both plant cells and plant tissues and animal tissues are same? Do they have the same structure and functions to carry out? Definitely not. Tissues in animals are different from tissues in plants. But before that, we'll see what are the types of tissues. As I told you, plant tissues are there which are present in plants. Example, xylem and phloem. By now, I think in grade 7 and 8, you must have learned about, or at least you must have heard about these terms. Xylem and phloem. These are said to be plant tissues. Example, only two examples I have mentioned here. There are many types of plant tissues also. And plant tissues are divided into many subtypes also. Example, I have mentioned it as xylem and phloem. These are the plant tissues which are present in plants to carry out the process of conduction. Then next is animal tissues. Animal tissues, blood tissues and muscle tissues. As I told you, blood tissue, blood has got many type of cells in it. No? So those are all put together to form a tissue, and muscle cells also group put together which help in the movement of the body are said to be muscle tissues. Okay. Next is about tissue of a plant tissues flow chart. How are plant tissues divided? First one is plant tissues, I told. You have to remember, okay? Tissues which are present in plants are said to be plant tissues. Tissues which are present in animals are said to be animal tissues. Now, what are plant tissues? Again, see, plant tissues are of these many. See, the flow chart you can see. First is plant tissues, which is primarily divided into two parts. One is meristematic tissue, second is permanent tissue. In the early stages, when the cells are grouped together to form tissues, when the plant is growing, the early stages of the growing parts of the tissues, growing parts of the plant is due to the meristematic tissue. The early stages is due to the meristematic tissue. That's why it is called growing tissue also. Okay. Next is after the meristematic tissue gets matured, they become permanent. They become permanent. And second is permanent tissue. Basically, plant tissues are of two types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. You remember, one is meristematic, second is permanent. Again, under meristematic tissue, you can observe here, again under meristematic tissue, there are three types, subtypes. One is apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem. All these three types of meristematic tissue, meristems are due to the location of the where they are located in the plant. Based on the location of the plant, these are categorized into different types. Meristematic tissue is categorized into three types based on the location of this type of tissue in the plant. Apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem, like that. I'll show you with the diagram where are they located and what is their function as well. Okay. Under permanent tissue, again they are divided into two types, simple permanent, complex permanent. For the first time, if you are listening all this about tissues, you feel little, it is it goes overhead, but it is easy. Again, if you watch the same video, it is very easy for you to understand. And permanent tissue is divided into simple and complex. Permanent tissue, simple, complex. Meristematic tissue, apical, intercalary, lateral, like that. Okay. Again, under simple permanent tissue, there are three types. parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay. Again, under parenchyma, based on the presence of chlorophyll, it is divided as chlorenchyma, and based on the presence of air cavities, it is divided as aerenchyma. Okay. Collenchyma and collenchyma has got no subtypes, don't worry. Sclerenchyma, of course, it is there. And out of, in the sclerenchyma fibers and scleroids will be there. Complex permanent tissue is mainly divided into xylem and phloem. They are called vascular bundle, and their function is to conduct. Conduction of water and food is the function of complex permanent tissues. They are xylem and phloem. Once you know the function and their location, it is easy for you to understand because it is very much available in our surroundings. Biology, that's why it is said a lively subject. It is not something which we need to imagine or think above above our imagination. It is not like that. Everything is visible to our own eyes, and we understand it. And function. This is easily, you can easily remember all this. Okay, don't worry about the terminology. If you listen to it once, twice, and thrice, it is very easy to remember. Okay, at once you don't get that it is very difficult to remember all these terms. It is easy. You try remembering, it is easy. Okay, this is a simple flow chart of plant tissues. We'll see one by one. What is meristematic tissue? Now, what is meristematic tissue? As I told you, meristematic tissue is a growing tissue. It means where should it be present? It should be present at the parts where the plants grow. You can't expect all the parts of the plants to be the regions where the growth is possible, isn't it? We can't expect all the parts of the plant to have the regions where growth is possible. Only certain regions of the plant only growth is possible. And wherever the growth is possible in the plant, there present the meristematic tissue. You remember meristematic tissue is nothing but growing tissue. Tissue which helps in the growth of the plant. Then where should it be present? In the does the meristematic tissue help plant to grow? They are called dividing tissues. They divide the cells. If the cells are increased, it is nothing but it helps in the growth of the plant. It is called dividing tissue or growing tissue, as I told you. And where are they present? They are present in the growing ends or growing tips of the plants. Generally on the tip. How have you seen the plant growing? You can have the seed, you can have the seed planting, and you see from day one, you see how the plant grows. It grows from the tip of the plant only. If you cut the tip of the plant stops growing once you observe. Okay, then their meristematic tissues or growing tissues are active till they get matured. Why they are active only till they get matured? After they get matured also they can be active, no? It means growing does not take place for many years, no? Like we also, human beings also. Whereas in plants also, growing of the plant cannot take place throughout, no? It stops span of time when the plant gets matured. They are not active, they become dead, they become inactive once the plant gains maturity. Next, they have the prominent nuclei. Nucleus is very much necessary, to carry. It controls all the activities of the cells, all the activities of the cell organelles, which is present in the cell. Nucleus is present in the cell, which controls the activities of the cell organelles. So it has got prominent, very well-defined nucleus is present, and it has got very thin cell wall because growing thinner plants are the early stages of the plant growth have very thin cell wall, and of course it is made up of cellulose only. Okay, and no vacuole is necessary during the early stages. What is the function of vacuole? Again, we have to go back to the first lesson. Vacuole was one of the cell organelles we have learned. And what was the function of vacuole? The important function was to store, no? So storage is not necessary in the early stages of the growth. and meristematic tissue helps in the growth only. So here vacuole is not necessary. It is vacuole during the, no vacuole is present during the early stages of the plants. This is about meristematic tissue. Now you see, now I have told you what is the structure of meristematic tissue and its location. Now the type of meristematic tissues I was talking, based on the location of the these types of based on the location, meristematic tissue is divided into three types. One is apical meristem, intercalary meristem, third is lateral meristem. You can observe the plant, sorry, you can, yeah, it is called plant only. You can observe the plant. Where is the apical meristem present? At the growing, at the tip. Generally apical meristem is present at the tips of the roots or tip of the stem, or it can be tip of the root and tip of the stem. Only two tips, no? So tip of the stem, tip of the root. Wherever there are tips, no, there at the ends, there it is present, apical meristem. So what is the location of apical meristem? They are present at the tips of the root and stem. You can also observe in the diagram. Second is intercalary meristem. And you know, apical meristem is helpful in increasing the length. See, imagine if this apical meristem is present on both the ends. It is a tip of the stem and this is the tip of the root. If it is present, if it start growing like this, it of course increases the length of the plant. No, it helps in the increase of the length of the plant. Apical meristem helps in the increase of the length, increase in the size of the plant. This is about apical meristem. Next is intercalary meristem. You observe the location of the intercalary meristem. It is present at the nodes. Have you seen the nodes? Nodes where the branches are connected to the stem. Nodes are the regions where main branches are connected to the stem. Those regions are said to be nodes, no? So these intercalary meristem is present at the nodes of the stem, nodal regions of the stem, which will help to grow, which will help in the growth branches like this. Sideways, it helps in the growth of the sideways. Branches growth happens due to the intercalary meristem. How does the branches grow? If intercalary meristem is strong only, it grows horizontally like this, and it means it helps the branches to grow. Understand? Because nodes are the regions where branches are connected. If intercalary meristem is growing properly, it means the branches are growing and it increases the thickness or the width of the plant also. Length of the plant is apical meristem, width of the plant is meristem is helpful in increasing the size of the stem. Bark, you might have seen the old trees which have got very big bark, no? Bark stem which becomes almost dead from outside. It is lateral meristem is present at the bark or the stem regions to increase the thickness of the stem. To increase the thickness of the stem, lateral meristem is helpful to increase the thickness of the plant as well. For the growth of branches, intercalary meristem, to increase the length of the plant, apical meristem is helpful. Should remember what are the types of meristematic tissue. Apical, present in the tips. Intercalary, present at the nodes of the stem, and lateral meristem is present at the is present in the stem regions where it helps in the widening or increasing the width of the stem. Okay, this is about the types of meristematic tissue. Should remember, meristematic tissue has got no vacuole during earlier stages. It is also called as growing tissue, and it helps in the growth or length or width or increasing the thickness of the plant also. And remember, meristematic tissue is always present at the growing regions of the plants. That much you remember. Okay, and it has got thin cell wall during the early stages. Okay, this is about the types of meristematic tissue. Next, what happens to the cells formed by meristematic tissue? Now we know that meristematic tissue helps in the growing of cells in the body, or dividing of cells in the body, and increases the length or size of the plant. What happens to the meristematic tissue once it becomes permanent? They become permanent, they grow, they get their own shape, permanent shape. They will be able to carry out their function, and they will have their own size, fixed shape and size will be there for them. You see, they get the permanent shape once they are grown up, once they are matured. Then comes the permanent tissue. Then what happens in the permanent tissue? They get the permanent shape. These tissues get the permanent shape, and they will have the permanent size also, and they will have permanent function to be carried out also. And all these together, having permanent shape, size and function, the process of developing all this permanent shape, size and function is said to be differentiation. Okay, the process of developing the meristematic tissue into a permanent tissue having definite and permanent shape, size and function is said to be differentiation. Okay, what happens after differentiation? After differentiation, they develop a permanent tissue. Only after this meristematic tissue, by the process of differentiation, they get the shape, size and permanent function to do. They become the permanent tissues. Converting meristematic tissues into permanent tissues. The process is said to be differentiation. Okay, once the plant gets the complete growth with the help of differentiation, they get the shape, size, and they will have the definite function to perform. They become permanent tissues. Okay, then the vacuole is present here. Vacuole is necessary. Why is it necessary? It was not there in meristematic tissue. You see, in meristematic, difference you should remember. It is important. In meristematic tissue, there is no vacuole necessary during earlier stages. Okay, but in permanent tissue, vacuole is necessary, helps in the process of storage. Okay, see, when the plants grow up and they get maturity, we know it. No, we get fruits, we get flowers. Now all that should be stored. No, food should be stored, water should be stored. So vacuoles are needed. Wherever there is a function of storage, vacuoles are needed. Okay, so what is the difference? Meristematic tissue has no vacuole during early stages, whereas when it converts and when it turns into permanent tissue, they have vacuole for storage for purpose. The cell wall is matured, of course, and because of the pigment, thick pigment present called cellulose, which gives the fitness to the plant, or which gives like rigidity to the plant to stand up straight. Okay, you might have seen the early stages of the plant, it can't be able to stand straight, no, like that. The branches also will be very thin and delicate. There is a possibility of even breaking also. Once they get maturity, because of the cellulose present on their body, they can stand up straight. Okay, it is like skeletal system, as we have discussed in the previous session when we were learning about cells. Okay, next is about types of permanent tissues. See, meristematic tissue, remember we had three types of meristematic tissues. One is apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. We have learnt about the types of the locations of these three also. Apical present in the tips, intercalary present on the nodal regions, and third is lateral meristem present in the stem regions, helps in widening or increasing the size of the stem. Now under permanent tissue also there are types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. If you are able to recall, when I had shown the flow chart, there we had plant tissues and they are divided into meristematic and permanent tissue. Meristematic again 1, 2, 3, apical, intercalary and lateral. Then comes the this side. Then comes the permanent tissue. Again here one is simple, next is permanent tissue. Simple tissue, permanent tissue. Simple tissues are made up of only one type of cells. Simple tissues are made up of only one type of cells, whereas complex permanent tissues are made up of more than one type of cells. Complex permanent tissues have the different kinds of functions to be carried out. They need more than one type of cells to form their structure and carry out the functions. So you should remember, simple permanent tissues are made up of one type of cells, and complex permanent tissues more than one type of cells. Is this clear? Differentiation process and the presence of vacuole in permanent tissue, absent in meristematic tissue, and cell wall will get matured here, it will become thick here, whereas in meristematic tissue it was thin. Okay, and types of permanent tissue: simple permanent tissue, complex permanent tissues. We'll see what are simple permanent tissues. Simple permanent. Types of permanent tissue. Under types of permanent tissue, all these come. One is simple permanent tissue. What are the subtypes of simple permanent tissue? Cells these are. If it is a cell, it includes, if it is a tissue, it includes cells, no? These are all cells. Under simple permanent tissue, parenchyma cells are there, collenchyma are the cells, sclerenchyma are also the cells present in the tissue called simple permanent tissue. Under simple permanent tissue, it is, one is parenchyma cells. What are the types of cells present in simple permanent tissue? There may be a question. One is parenchyma cells, collenchyma cells, sclerenchyma cells. For the first time, if you are hearing this, of course you will not be able to have in your memory for first time, but it is easy. As you watch, as you listen to it again and again, it is easy. Of course, terms are little new to you, but it is easy. Try to repeat them again. You will definitely remember, and it is easy, interesting as well. Okay, look at them as familiar. Don't think that they are somewhere, it is Latin and Greek. Don't think that they are Latin and Greek. They are only biology, and it is very interesting. You can learn them very easily. Don't look at the terms as difficult, as they are difficult. Okay, parenchyma are the cells present under simple permanent tissue. Collenchyma are the cells present in simple permanent tissue. Third type is sclerenchyma. What all are they? We'll see one by one. As I told you, under permanent tissues, one is simple permanent, second is complex permanent. And what are the cells, are the tissues present under this? Xylem and phloem. Two permanent, complex permanent tissues are xylem and phloem. Three simple permanent tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. You remember chyma, it is easy. Parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay, so these are the types of permanent tissue. Permanent tissue is basically of two types: simple permanent, complex permanent. Under simple, 1, 2, 3: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Under complex permanent tissue, 1 and 2: xylem and phloem. It is easy to remember. Keep repeating it. You will understand it. Okay, and you will not forget about it also. It is very interesting. Okay, this is about simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. We will get into details of this simple permanent tissue. What are parenchyma, what are collenchyma, what are other sclerenchyma, xylem, phloem, where are they present? Okay, we'll look into them. This is about the structure, like these are all the parenchyma tissues, collenchyma and sclerenchyma also, their cross section and their longitudinal section. Okay, next one. This is, now we will get in detail with the simple permanent tissues. One is parenchyma, as I told you. Okay, first one is parenchyma. I told the three types of simple permanent tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. First, let us learn about parenchyma. What is it? Parenchyma. Okay. Now, what is parenchyma? They are living cells. Parenchyma are the living cells. It means if we are saying parenchyma is a living cell, then ma'am, dead cells are also present in the plant body. Yes, they are present, but we say it is a living organism. Some parts of the plant body, like the the thick bark of the plant, bark of the tree is dead outside. From where only the from where our Robert Hooke, not our Robert Hooke, biologist Robert Hooke has observed the cells for the first time, dead cells for the first time, with the piece of cork from the bark of the tree only, no? So some parts of the plant which are outside, which are hard and thick, are dead also. But whereas parenchyma is living, it's a living cell. Parenchyma cells as a part of simple permanent tissue are living. They are long in shape and irregular at the corners. You look at the diagram here. What, ma'am? They are all like eggs. They are all like eggs, no? One nucleus in the center and many like this. Sometimes, intracellular spaces will be there for this. These are the structure, and sometimes they are irregular also at the corners like this. You observe the diagram here. It is easy to uh, understand. Yes, this is the structure of parenchyma. You see, they have got thin cell walls, isn't it? And cytoplasm is there inside the what fluid structure present inside the cell, and nucleus, of course. If it is a cell, there should be nucleus. If it is a eukaryotic cell, there should be a nucleus, no? Then nucleus, intracellular spaces are present. What is intercellular, not intra, sorry. Intra is within, inter is between. Okay, intercellular spaces, as I told you. So this is a space present. This is the space, you can observe this. This is the space present between the cells, that is called intercellular space. The space, once again I will draw for you. See, this is the structure of parenchyma. If you say this one, the middle one, this one is said to be intercellular space. Intercellular space is present in the parenchyma cells. They are long, elongated. Sometimes they are long also when we look into the longitudinal section. They are living cells, one thing. Second is they are irregular at the ends, at the corners. You can observe the structure. They are not completely formed. All the cells are not completely formed. At the corners, sometimes they are with the half structure, irregular in shape. They are loosely arranged. Loosely arranged is nothing but having lot of intercellular space. Inter is between one cell and another cell. There is a space that is called intercellular space. Presence and absence of intercellular space also helps you to understand whether it is a parenchyma cell or collenchyma cell or sclerenchyma cell. In order to differentiate between these among these three, it helps. Intercellular space, presence and absence of intercellular spaces helps you to identify the given structure as parenchyma cell, collenchyma cell or sclerenchyma cells. There may be questions. I have seen there may be questions arise in the exam, say identify the given structure, or they may say identify the given cell, a type of simple permanent tissue. They may give the structure of collenchyma, but if you do not know about the intercellular spaces or the structure properly, then it is difficult for you to identify. So it has to be there here. The structure or the characteristics of these three, if you know, it is easy to identify. Now coming back to parenchyma, it is living cell, elongated, having intercellular spaces, and at the corners they are not very regular, are not completely formed. Okay, next, this is also same structure, parenchyma structure. This will help you to understand, because we are talking about the plants which are green in color, no? So this intercellular spaces you can observe better. The space between each cell, between the cells, is called intercellular space. The main function of this cell or parenchyma is to store food, and another is, see, there are regions of parenchyma where it contains chlorophyll. There are regions of the plant body wherein parenchyma has chlorophyll in it. What is the function of chlorophyll? Chlorophyll should help in the process of photosynthesis. So, the region where the chlorophyll is present, which helps in the process of photosynthesis, that should be presence of chlorophyll, parenchyma cells are called chlorenchyma because they will help in the process of photosynthesis. If they help in the process of photosynthesis, what happens? Food is prepared and that should be stored, no? And that is the main function of parenchyma. If parenchyma has got chlorophyll in it, some regions of parenchyma having chlorophyll in it and helps in the process of photosynthesis, it is termed as chlorenchyma. Okay, don't get confused with cholenchyma and chlorenchyma. Ren is here. See, only PA is removed. Renchyma is already there. RENCHYMA is there. CHLO, is due to the presence of chlorophyll. Cholenchyma is different. Parenchyma with the regions of chlorophyll presence for the process of photosynthesis is said to be chlorenchyma. Okay? Chlorenchyma are part of parenchyma only, you can understand. Regions where chlorophyll is present. Next, there are regions of parenchyma. There are types of parenchyma cells which have got air cavities. You might have observed the plants, aquatic plants which are in water, floats, no? Lotus and all, it keeps floating, isn't it? The aquatic plants floats due to buoyancy, and that is because of the presence of air cavities. And parenchyma cells having those air cavity are said to be aerenchyma. Presence of presence of air cavities makes the parenchyma as aerenchyma. Presence of chlorophyll makes the parenchyma as chlorenchyma. Please don't get confused. Parenchyma has got in some regions chlorophyll, okay, for the process of photosynthesis. Those cells are said to be chlorenchyma, and some of them have got air cavities which help in the floating of plants in the water. Those regions, those parts, those type of cells are said to be chlorenchyma cells. Okay, they are under parenchyma only. Aerenchyma due to air cavities, chlorenchyma due to chlorophyll presence. Okay, this is about parenchyma. Simple it is. Parenchyma cells are those which are living. Sometimes they are elongated and irregular at the corners. Next is they have the intercellular spaces. It means they are loosely arranged. Remember how in your chemistry when you are learning about liquids, solids and gases, solids, there will be no intercellular space. They are closely packed. Liquids are little loosely packed. Gaseous atoms are very loosely packed. Now these parenchyma cells you can compare with liquids where the cells are loosely arranged, intercellular spaces are present. Okay. Next is the main function is to store the food. The part of parenchyma which helps in the process of photosynthesis is chlorenchyma, which as the air cavities is said to be aerenchyma. Okay. This is about parenchyma. Parenchyma. It is a type of cells present in the simple permanent tissue. And simple permanent tissue is a type of permanent tissue. Permanent tissue, simple permanent tissue. Out of simple permanent tissue, number one is parenchyma. Okay. Permanent, simple permanent, parenchyma. Should remember. You should not miss the order, the sequence of it. Okay. Next is, what is next cell after parenchyma? It is collenchyma. What, ma'am? All chymas? Yes, it is interesting if you keep listening. Next, simple tissues. These are nothing but simple permanent tissue or simple tissue, both you can call. The next one is collenchyma, as I told you. This is the diagram or the structure of collenchyma, which of course are living. Collenchyma cells are also living. They are also elongated. Can you see the elongated transverse section of the diagram, ma'am? Because I am unable to see. My video is being placed in the place where the longitudinal section is present.
We can see both.
Okay, fine. So these are also alive. These are also living cells. Of course, they are elongated when they are observed in the longitudinal section, and they have got less intercellular spaces. We were discussing in parenchyma that they are loosely packed and more intercellular spaces are present. Comparatively, here less intercellular space is present. They are irregularly thick in size. You can see they comparatively the cell wall will be thick when the cell wall is thick in collenchyma. It was thin in parenchyma. Here it is thick. Okay. Now, they are also living, elongated, and of course they are also irregular at the corners. Where are they present? Now, where are collenchyma cells present? They are present in the in epidermis of the leaves. Epidermis, surfaces, on both the surfaces. You must be knowing about stomata, no? Stomata where it is present at the both epidermis, lower epidermis and the upper epidermis. So there only in the leaves stalks, in the epidermis region, these are present. Collenchyma cells are present below the epidermis region. Next, what is the main function of collenchyma is to give the flexibility to the plant. During early stages, generally you see there is a branches and all, they are flexible enough, they are not very rigid, they can be moved, no movement is possible, so they give the flexibility to the plant. Who gives the flexibility? Collenchyma cells gives the flex. You see the leaf, no? Can leaf be so strict, so rigid that it can't be bent or something? It gives the flexibility. The collenchyma cells gives the flexibility to the plant, whereas parenchyma helps in storing food. At least one function you should remember for all the types of simple permanent tissue. Number one is parenchyma, which helps in the storage of food. Storage. Collenchyma helps in giving the flexibility to bend without breaking. Okay, bending is possible, but it should not be broken also, no? So bending of the plant parts, either branch or stems, without breaking, that flexibility is given by collenchyma cells. Collenchyma cells, the second type of cells of simple permanent tissue. Permanent tissue, simple permanent tissue, out of which one is parenchyma. Now we are dealing with collenchyma. Collenchyma cells, they are long, elongated. Their main function is to give the flexibility to the plant parts to bend easily without breaking. Okay, bending without breaking is due to the collenchyma cells only. Next time when you go near the plant, you touch the plant, try to bend it. If it bends without breaking, no, it means it is due to, it is because of the presence of collenchyma cells. Okay. Next is they have got very little intercellular spaces. I am sorry, it is inter, it is not intra. Okay, intercellular, very less intercellular spaces are present in collenchyma when compared to parenchyma. This also you should, this kind of structure, you see, little thick with the cell wall and very little, sometimes no intercellular space only. If this kind of structure is given, it is easy for you to identify whether it is parenchyma or collenchyma. Okay. Next, what is the main function? It gives the structural support also. Next is about sclerenchyma. What is sclerenchyma? The third type of cells present as a part of simple permanent tissues. One is parenchyma over collenchyma. Third is sclerenchyma. No, you just tell out after me. Sclerenchyma. Parenchyma and collenchyma is little easy when compared to this term to pronounce. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma. Okay. What are these sclerenchyma cells? They are dead cells. We were learning, no? Both parenchyma and collenchyma are living cells. You can now imagine that if it is a dead cell, where is it present? Okay, and these are the dead cell which makes the plant to become hard and stiff, gives the stiffness to the plant. Generally, which will give the stiffness to the plant to stand upright is the stem, no? It means near the barks are the stem, old stems are the barks, it is present. Sclerenchyma is present near the whole stems are the barks, and they are long and narrow. Narrow is having the space in between, light weighted. Okay, thickened walls due to the presence of lignin. They have the thick walls, thick cell walls because of the presence of lignin. Lignin is a component. It's a chemical component, like how we did with the cellulose. And cellulose is the plant, this one, the living plant, living cells. Lignin is also that such kind of thick component present in the dead cells, near the stems and all. This provides the strength to the plant parts like stem and all. It helps to stand upright. It gives the hardness and the stiff as well. Present in the stems, veins of the leaf also. You see, the mature leaves are the thick leaves just before they fall off. They are very thick. They don't, the veins of the leaves won't be flexible, you see. So that is because of the presence of sclerenchyma cells. Hard covering, generally where they are present, you must have seen the coconut shell, no? Shell, which is very hard, no? The hard coverings of the seeds are the nuts, wood apple, and coconut. Yes, wood apple, coconut and all. So the hard outer coverings are due to the presence of sclerenchyma cells. Okay, husk of the coconut also is an example. This is a structure of sclerenchyma cell. You see, no intercellular spaces at all. The cell walls will be very thick because of the presence of lignin. Okay, and this is a transfer, this is a longitudinal section. It is easy to identify out of the three given structures. If you are asked to identify which is what, then it is easy. If intracellular spaces are present and the cell wall is thin, it is parenchyma. Very little intracellular spaces are present, intercellular spaces are present, and cell wall is to be little thick only, then it is said to be collenchyma, where complete intercellular spaces are absent and the cell wall is very thick, is said to be sclerenchyma cells. You may be asked to identify the structure, okay, given structure. And there may be diagram based questions also. Especially from this lesson, diagram based questions will be more, okay, and there is a chance of asking more diagram based questions. You should remember. Next is about complex permanent tissue. Before we get into complex permanent tissue, let me once briefly tell you what are simple permanent tissues. Okay. Now tissues, plant tissues, animal tissues, both are over. Under plant tissue, now we are dealing with plant tissues. Under plant tissues, meristematic tissue, permanent tissue. Under meristematic tissue, apical, intercalary, lateral. We have seen their location and function as well. Next is the permanent tissue. Under permanent tissue, one is simple permanent tissue, second is complex permanent tissue. Under simple permanent tissue, there are three types again: parenchyma cells, collenchyma cells, and sclerenchyma cells. This is about simple permanent tissue. Next, complex permanent tissue will be learning now. What are complex permanent tissues? In the beginning, I have shown you xylem and phloem are said to be complex, are a part of complex permanent tissues. What are they? What is their structure and where are they observed? What is their function also? As I told you, these complex permanent tissues are also said to be vascular bundles, or they are said to be conducting tissues also, because their function is to conduct, or transport food and water into the plant body. From roots, the water goes up. The conduction of water from the roots through xylem. Conduction of food through the leaves to the different parts of the plant is through phloem. What are they and how are they functioning? This xylem helps in the transport of water and minerals to the plant parts. Water and minerals to the plant parts are transported, are carried out by a tissue called xylem. Now, we know that plant is also living organism and it needs water. Who carries water? Xylem carries water. It means what is the function? Transport of water is the function of xylem. Which carries water? Xylem carries water. In that case, in that way, if you remember the function, terms become easy. Okay? Xylem carries water to the plant body from roots to the different, to the tip, till the tip of the plant. It has to provide water. It has to transport or carry the water through xylem. Next, xylem, water, you should remember. Then generally, it is little confusion. No, xylem carries water, phloem carries food. Okay, both are conducting tissues only. Both are meant for transporting only. But phloem carries food, xylem carries water. Phloem helps in the transport of food to the plant parts, and both are together called as vascular bundle are conducting tissues. When we take, see, look at the diagram. When we take the cross section of any plant and observe in the microscope like this, it looks like this. You see, xylem and the phloem both together is said to be vascular tissues, which are helpful in the conduction of uh, food and water, including minerals. Dermal, see, first is the outer layer is said to be dermal tissue or epidermis, inside ground tissue. Within that, again within that only, these two are present, xylem and phloem are present. So there is an experiment which is very easy to conduct also, and to understand how xylem carries water also. If you take up a tender stem and put it in a glass of water, glass of colored water, any color, red color or blue color water, any colored water, take colored water, take in a glass, and add this stem, the tender stem which you have cut from the plant, into the glass. Leave the sample for 4 or 5 hours of time. Then you observe, you take out the stem and see there will be thin line inside of whatever the color water that you have. It means the colored water has entered into the stem. Through what did it enter? Through the process, through the tissue called xylem only. So, okay, so this is an experiment. You can do it at home also to observe how the xylem carries water. Okay, the thin layer of the color, whatever is the water that, whatever the color you have the water with you, same color will be found, thin layer of the same color will be found in the stem. It means the water has, water carried into the stem through xylem. Okay, this is about the xylem, and phloem is for the transport of food. Now, food preparation happens in the leaf. Every one of us know, through the process of photosynthesis. Through the process of photosynthesis, food is prepared, and whatever the food is being prepared should be transported to the different parts of the plant also. Not only in the form of fruit which gives us, it has to send the food prepared in the leaf to the other parts of the plant also. That is done. And remember, food transport like phloem can be in multi-directional. It moves in multi-directional. Its presence is in the multi-direction. It has to go to the tip of the plant also. It should go to the root level also, to the roots also. Because roots also needs food, no? So food prepared in the leaves is carried out to the entire part of the plant through phloem. Whereas xylem, different. It is unidirectional. The water is absorbed by the roots and it carries like in this way only, either this way or this way only. Okay, it will not come down, it will not come down. So that is, xylem carries water in unidirection, phloem conducts food in both the direction. Okay, next is about, and both are together called as vascular bundle, and it is also called as conducting tissue, vascular bundle, both are same. Next, about xylem tissue. What is xylem tissue? See, these, as I told you, simple permanent tissues are having, permanent tissues are having more than one type of cells. When we were learning about the types of tissues, simple permanent and complex permanent, we learned. Simple permanent tissues are made up of one type of cells only, whereas permanent tissues are made up of more than one type of cells. Okay, so having more than one type of cells, because xylem is a part of permanent tissue, isn't it? Complex permanent tissue. Now, this is a structure of xylem, you see. See, they have some types of cells in them. This xylem tissue has got type of cells present in them. Different types of cells, having more than one type of cells. Because their function is also as such, they need varieties of cells for them to carry out the function. So the permanent tissues have got more than one type of cells to form the tissue, whereas simple tissues have got one type of cells. Many cells, but one type of cells will be there. And what are the types of this xylem tissue? Types means cells present or the components present in xylem tissue are tracheids. There are four actually. Tracheids. Number two is vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Whereas when we look into phloem, there are five types of cells. So how to remember? It is again confusion, no? How to remember the number of cells present means type of cells present in xylem. So xylem is a five-lettered word, no? Xylem. This is a five-lettered word. 5 minus 1 you do, you get 4. 5 minus 1. Whereas phloem you see, it has got 6 letters in it. Minus 1 you do, it gets 5. For both you do minus 1, whatever the number comes will be the number of components present in it. Generally we get confused because same kind of cells are also present. Like xylem parenchyma in xylem, phloem parenchyma in phloem is there. So number you may get confused. In xylem tissue, there are four types of cells or four components present. One is tracheids, XYLEM. 5 minus 1 is 4. It means four components it has got. One is tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers. This is the structure. You see tracheids are there, no? First one. You in the elongated structure you can see. These tracheids help in the conduction of water vertically. Our main function of xylem is to conduct the water. For conducting of water also, xylem needs some assistance to it. Different types of cells to it. Under that, what is first one? It is tracheids. And what is the function of tracheids? Why xylem should have tracheids separately, vessels separately, parenchyma separately, fibers separately? It means they have got some specific function to do. Now, what is the function of tracheids? Tracheids help in the conduction of water vertically, like this, vertically. Conduction of water should happen to the branches also, no? The roots will absorb the water and it has to go vertically also. It has to go to the branches also. So tracheids are helpful to conduct the water vertically like this. Okay, you should remember. Next, vessels also help in the conduction of water only because they are the types of xylem. In the branches, sideways, it is opposite to what the tracheids do. Tracheids conduct water straight, straight vertically, and whereas vessels help in the conduction of water to the sideways, that is to the branches. Next is xylem parenchyma. Now, what is the function of parenchyma? When we were learning about parenchyma in the simple permanent tissues, the function of parenchyma is to food, it helps in the storage food. Also, this is the only living cell of the components of xylem tissue. Xylem tissue has got four components: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fiber. Out of four, only this one, which is that? Okay, third one. Only this one, xylem parenchyma, is said to be living and it helps in the storage of food, because chlorenchyma helps in photosynthesis, preparation of food, which also helps in the storage of food. Like xylem fiber, what is the function of xylem fiber? It gives support. It is supportive in nature. Xylem fibers gives the support for this vessels, tracheids and parenchyma to carry out their function. So this is about xylem tissue. So in this class, we will stop up to here. Once again, just to bring out whatever we have done in this class. Firstly, wait, let me stop sharing. Okay. Firstly, what we have learned, tissue is a group of cells with a similar structure having the specific function to perform. How are tissues divided? First tissues is there, you see here. Let me once again share. I'll put up the flow chart, then it is easy for you to understand. Array. 1 minute. Okay. Now you see, first we have learned plant tissues. Under plant tissues, meristematic and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue, always remember it is present at the growing regions. And this meristematic tissue is divided into apical, intercalary, lateral. Based on the location, we have divided them like that. Under permanent tissues, simple permanent tissue, complex permanent tissue. Under simple permanent tissue, again it is divided into parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is dead, parenchyma and chlorenchyma are both living and they have intercellular spaces. Parenchyma has more intercellular spaces, collenchyma has got less. Okay, then the cell wall is thin in parenchyma, a little thick in collenchyma, it is very hard and thick in sclerenchyma. Under parenchyma, based on the presence of chlorophyll, it is called as chlorenchyma. Because of the presence of air cavity, it is said to be aerenchyma. And under complex permanent tissue, we have xylem and phloem. Xylem is the first one, and complex permanent tissues are made up of more than one cells. Totally, permanent tissues are made up of more than one type of cells. And xylem has got 4 components. Xylem with the letter alphabet in it, 5 minus 1 is 4 components. You can remember. First is tracheids, which helps in the conduction of water vertically. And second is vessels, which helps in the conduction of water to the branches. Okay, horizontally you can think, or to the sideways you can think. Third is parenchyma, helps in storage. Next is fibers, xylem fibers, which gives support to carry out the complete function of xylem in the conduction of water. Okay, this is about the complex permanent tissue. We have done only up to xylem. Remaining phloem and all we will be doing in the next session. Okay, so this is about 1 minute. So this session is about only this much. With the remaining part of the lesson, I'll meet you in the next session. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. Thanks a lot for a wonderful session on the plant tissues. And we'll continue the session further in next class. So viewers, stay connected, stay safe, stay connected. Till then, goodbye.